This episode, we want to just start using more parts of our library and add it to our game. Mainly, we're going to focus on items today because our whole little demo RPG library supports items, buffs, all kinds of stuff like that. But until we actually put them in the game, they don't do much. So yeah, we're going to focus on items. So the first thing I always do when I record these episodes is I go over to GitHub, see if there's any pull requests. Doesn't look like there's any. Some people occasionally like to leave comments about my design decisions and stuff, and your words mean completely nothing if you don't go make a pull request. Just have you know that you can rage all you want, but hey, this is public. You can go make the changes you want to make, propose them. If you're just going to leave comments about it, I'm going to be honest, I don't care. Yeah. So right now, the player fights monsters over and over. That's just a little RPG prototype we have. It's kind of a battle arena. It does have a map, so we could do some pretty cool stuff. Like, we could expand on this map, and we know, the monster's a capital M, the player's a capital P. We have all that stuff in here, and that's just based on us just setting it to that. So what I think would be kind of fun is what if the monsters started dropping stuff? Now, we know about our armor slots. So if we go into armor, we know we got these slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8 different things. And with weapons, we got a few different things there. 3 different things. And what else do we have? We have potions. We'll probably just do healing potions. Although we do support buffs, we're not going to worry about that right now. But basically what I want to do is have the monster start dropping stuff. And whatever it drops, we'll just put it into the player's inventory. And we'll try to make a little system where the player can actually go through their inventory and equip stuff and see their character sheet. Now that's an awful lot. There's just no way we're going to get that all done in one episode, so we're just going to get as far as we can. And let's just start with making the monsters actually drop something. So let's just make a function called, maybe we'll just call it drop item. All right, we'll go void drop item. And what we want to do for this, I think I'm just going to go off the player level. Like the higher level you are, maybe the better stuff will drop. And the way we're going to do this is probably just use create item. So we need to look at our public header and what we have available there. So let's go demo RPG and just bring in our item header. Take a quick look at it and see if we can recall exactly what we're doing here. Okay, so there's an item and we need to use the create item, or the item manager, I believe it's called, which is public here, so we do have access to it. But basically, we want to actually make the items with item manager. So let's just put that in here as well. And let's just have this drop item return an item pointer, the same thing that item manager drops or creates. So this creates items. It's got all our functions that we need to equip and stuff. And we're just going to use these in our game. We got equip, we got use, we got move to backpack. Probably just going to use move to backpack mainly. This episode, I don't think we're going to get into deleting. But if we need to update anything in the library, we can do that too to support any of the stuff we're doing. All right, so let's go ahead and do it. And we need to consider, well, basically the player level. So I think it would make sense here to either pass in the player or, we just kind of globally know about the player since it's just up here, declare it as a global. But going forward, we might make it so it's not that way. So we have to basically decide, do we want to keep the player global or do we want to pass it in all the time? And really, we could do it either way, and we're kind of mixing and mashing right now, because right here we're taking in the player, although technically we already know about it, but who knows, maybe we want to go multiplayer in the future, and if there's multiple players, then we need to know which one we're talking about, so in that case we need to pass it in. But also, this is a teaching series, so I just want to show things in multiple ways sometimes, and that way you're getting the broadest knowledge possible rather than just repeating the same thing over and over. So this time we're just going to use the global one, I guess, but later we can change this and bring in whatever we're calculating off of. But for now, we're just going to go, well, we're going to use random. We need to come up with a system of dropping things. And this is going to be a little odd because we know that from last episode, just the way it's designed, the player's going to get taxed out. They're going to get hit enough times that they're going to die within fighting about 3 monsters. And after fighting about 3 monsters, there's not a whole lot they can do they're just going to lose. So monsters definitely need to be at least dropping healing potions that you can use, and then weapons and armor, and that should be good enough. Also, another thing that the library doesn't handle is what armor and magic resist actually does. Like, sure, it increases your stats, but there's nothing in the damage calculation that looks at your armor or anything. So that is something we have to decide on our game's end, which is intended because, yeah, you can see what the armor is, and you can see what the damage is, and you can do what you want with it. Rather than it having all the calculations, we can balance our game how we want. It just has the ability to get them or not. All right, well, without further ado, let's get to item drops. So we got some random stuff. Let's think about this. We got how many different pieces of armor did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of armor. 2 different weapon types. So that's 10 different items. And then potion, which we're probably just going to do healing potion for now. So there are 11 different things that could in theory drop, at least for now, to get started. So 8 armor items, 2 weapon types, melee and ranged, and 1 potion. So 11 different drop types. And basically we can do this however we want, but we wanted to randomize it. So we want to somehow randomize which of these drop, and we can weight them as we want. So the first thing we're going to do is grab a random number, and then we're probably just going to switch on that number and grab something based on the player's level for whatever we randomly rolled. I don't know if I said that in a way that makes a whole lot of sense, but we're just going to program it up and go for it. Drop seed is going to be into K random. Oh, we got to go random again. And we can give this, maybe we give it 1 through 100. That should be fine to start. And that'll just get us a random number between 1 and 100. And we can just go switch on drop seed. And then we just need 11 different cases. Well, I guess we're going to have to do an if else. A switch is going to be a little too difficult. I was trying to think of a way to give it like fall throughs and stuff like that, but there's really no great way. So we'll just say if drop seed is less than 5, so like a 5% chance of whatever this first thing is, we'll maybe give them the first piece of armor. And we can just go on and on like that, basically. Else if drop seed. So let's just kind of get this structured out. And the way that if else works is going to make this kind of easy to scale along. I'm going to delete that one actually, because we can just keep going up by 5 and say less than 5, because the way if else works is when you got a big thing of if else's, it checks the first one. If that succeeds, it goes into that one. It doesn't do any of the other ones. This one fails, it goes to the next one. So we don't have to do like a less than greater than check. We can make it somewhat efficient by doing this. And we're just going to keep copying this down for a while. See, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. We need 11 basically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so there's 11 of them. And we need to kind of figure out this percent a little better. Let's go with these for the start. So we'll just make it 5% increments, see what you get. And the last chunk is just going to be potions. So there's going to be like a 45% chance of getting a potion and somewhere around a 5% chance of getting anything else. Now we could weight this a little more with like, counting by 6 or something. Okay, there we go. There's a nice little chart. And I think what we want to do here is we're just going to make the return item here. Maybe even at the top. Or maybe, maybe we want a chance that it just drops nothing. So let's go ahead and program that in here too. So just the last case here. And let's kind of pseudocode this out a little bit while we're at it. And we need to see this armor. Well, we need all these. So let's go ahead and just put these somewhere for us to look at as we go. I think we remember the weapon types. There's only 2. The armor one's a little harder to remember everything about it. And basically what we want to do here is we want to return the item. Return create item, and that is in item manager. We can just do it directly like this even. Create armor. And we give it a name. We got to do something about giving these names, but we could even just say helmet for now until we'll come up with a system for giving them stats in a little bit. But for now, let's just get the core of this ready, and then we'll worry about scaling it with the player level. But for now, let's actually get something. Now, I feel like if it's armor, you've got to at least have one armor. Let's just do one armor for now on any particular slot. And the slot is armor slot helmet or head. There we go. So that's going to return a created armor with those stats. And we can use this power of random later to help make these a little more versatile. But for now, let's go ahead and just copy this down and just continue on. Let's make a chest slot and let's just call this like breastplate. And we'll just continue on. What are leg piece called? I can't remember. Found this interesting site, Medieval Collectibles. So maybe let's just have a gander here and see what they call it. I don't know anything about this site, but apparently you can order armor and stuff off of it. Kind of cool. Tassets. Never heard of tassets, but I guess that's what they're called. Or at least the little side things that like hang from your belt or whatever. Okay, we'll just call it tasset. Okay. I don't know if that's technically accurate or not. Oh, there's also greaves. I guess there's greaves. This is like the shin guard type armor. We don't really have all that programmed in. And then functional leg armor here. Wow, what am I getting into? Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Just leg guards. Okay, let's just stick with leg guards. Apparently there's multiple pieces, so we could get like real technical and put all those pieces in here, but that's a little bit much. We're just going to keep it simple here. As simple as possible, at least. I'm only going to look it up if I have no idea what they're called. But like hands, we can just call gloves. And of course, we want like, you know, an actual proper random chart at some point, but we're just hacking it for now. Oh, the ring slots are interesting because we got to think about how this works. Rings should fit in either slot, so we don't necessarily need to say it's a ring 1 or a ring 2. I didn't really think about that actually, but whatever, let's stick with it. So that's something that needs corrected, is we need there to be 2 ring slots, but we need rings to equip on either slot, and that doesn't really work that way right now, so we're not really going to worry about it, because basically if we call our equip method on a ring, it's going to go to whatever slot it says it is. It's not going to actually allow us to use either slot of ring, so maybe we'll fix that at some point, but that might be... yeah, that might take a little longer than I would think, I guess. That's what I'm getting at. Let's call this neck guard. So any armor piece you get at least gives you 1 armor. I guess that's nice. Maybe we'll have the rings do something else. Like give you 1 to all stats or something. Sure, let's actually do that. I like that. And the neck guard maybe gives you 1 armor or 1 resist. And 1 armor. Sure, why not? Just vary it up a little bit. All right, and now we need some weapons here. So let's do this again, except this time create weapon. And we need a melee weapon here. Guess we need to decide if it's 1 or 2-handed. We'll just call it like a 1-handed sword for now. And it doesn't need stats, but it does need some damage, and whether it's 2-handed or not. So we'll just say 1, well, maybe let's go 2 to 3 damage. We'll have it scale up later. And is this everything we need? Okay, this needs to be weapon slot. Need to spell create correctly. And there we go. And let's go ahead and make a ranged one, and we'll just call it a bow. And it'll do the same damage. And we don't want it to have any stats. We just want it to do some damage. Stats on weapons is more for like magical or special stuff. And this one we want to be a potion. So let's go ahead and make a healing potion. Once again, in case someone's confused, this here is not part of the library. We're just making a demo implementation. So really it's up to whoever's making the thing to get as creative as they want with their implementation. So I'm just winging it to get a thing going. So for your implementation, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to follow what I'm doing. You can change things up. If you think it's better, make a pull request. Maybe I'll accept it. I probably will if it is actually better. All right, I need to look at this function. Create weapon is now create potion. And how much does it heal for? We need to come up with a random here. Let's just random this. Let's say it heals for between 2 and 5. And the item count, let's say you get 1 or 2. So maybe you can grab 2 if you're lucky. 1 or 2. And does it have a buff or not? We're going to leave this null. Actually, we just leave it blank. There we go. Now we get 1 to 2 healing potions. Somewhere around 40% of the time. And a lot of chances of dropping some armor and weapons. And this one here is going to be null pointer. So there's also about a 10% chance you just don't get anything. And if we want multiple things dropped from a creature or a monster or a chest or whatever, we can just call this multiple times and get multiple items. Maybe we'll call this random drop or drop random item. I like that. Okay, so we can sort these out and tweak them as necessary later, and we can do some more randomization in any of these to give them different stats, to maybe append a +1 to the name. You can do a lot of stuff like that. I would like to do maybe an example of one of them just to show you, like the helmet, for example. We could go string name, and then we could do a random here. Is magical. We could do like I'm trying to think how to do this. Yeah, let's do magical power here. And let's just call random again. And let's go from 0 to 2. All right, and then we can go, well, we want to append whatever this is onto the name. So we could say like a +1. And we could use string stream for this, but that's going to get a little, get a little gaboo. So maybe we will not worry about that a whole lot. I'm trying to just think of the simplest way to do it quickly. Let's just do a quick switch statement. It's ugly. It'd probably be better to use string stream, but I'm just trying to hack it. So case 0. We can say name equals just helmet. You probably see where I'm going with this. Eventually we're going to put name here. So we need a break. Case 1, let's say name equals +1 helmet. So bonus points to you if you go onto GitHub, onto this repo, and make this work with string stream and expand this at all. And we can have a default here. So it's nothing but break. Okay, so now we got a little varying name here, depending on how strong it is. And we can also vary these stats a little bit too. So we could just make a stats item that goes along with this. So we can go core stats. I don't know, we'll just call it local stats, and we could just append that right in here, just like so. So there's the plain one. Let's do the magical one and just make it all ones, I guess. We'd look like this. Make it a little more armor. There we go. Magical one does a bit more, and you probably see where this is going to. And then we're just going to put local stats down here. And there we have a extremely hacked system to potentially get magic helmets. Now you could do this for all of them, or come up with a system where it does it a little more in advance so we don't have to repeat this code over and over. And I'll leave that up to someone else. But there's an example of how you could do it with this particular system. And anytime they roll a helmet, it might be magical, but anything else right now, not going to be so magical. Okay, so that function is pretty well done, I think. We can just call it when we need to. So let's move on to the next section, defeating a monster and dropping the item. So let's go to the fight. Where is the fight? Or battle, I forget what I called it. Enter fight sequence is apparently what I called it. Wait, I have it in here twice. I'm a little confused. Apparently I pasted something in here at some point. Okay, let's just take this function we wrote. I gotta get this corrected. Cut it. And I'm just gonna pull up a little temporary notepad here and paste it over there. And what the heck is going on here? It looks like I might have copied this whole file down at one point. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I did. Now let's put our function back in there. Could move these functions to the header if we want, to this PCH header. But let's just collapse these for now so that we can look around a little better. And let's check out this fight sequence here. It says returns true on when, false otherwise, but currently we have void, so we know that's not true. We can just get rid of that. I think what we want to do here is just right here, if they won, we'll just get an item drop. So let's just do that like right here. Let's create a drop and tell them what it was. Maybe we'll do this notification part at the bottom, like right here. Okay, so let's create an item. Item drop. We need to make it an item star, and we need to make it equal drop random item. And that should take care of it. It'll call that function. It'll grab something random. We can check if it's null or not. And we basically, if this item is not null, we want to add it to our inventory. So let's separate this out a little bit. The order of these doesn't matter a whole lot. I'm just trying to think where we want to do this notification. I guess we'll just do the logic right after the item drop. So we'll say if item drop, if it actually exists, I guess let's do it down here. We actually want to say what it is. Item, let's go item received, because we're going to end up just putting this in the inventory. Now it's only going to do this if this is not null, of course. And we just go item drop dot get data dot name, basically. They all have names, so it's definitely going to have a name. We don't need to cast it to anything. So now if it actually drops an item, we'll get that. But we do need to add it to our inventory. That's kind of important. So we can do that. I guess we'll do it in the same check. I was trying to separate them out a little bit, but I don't want to do this if item drop twice. So we're already checking right here. We might as well put it in your inventory right here as well. And we got to just think about how to do that. We want a new line at the end of this too in our standard. Now, it actually might be better to make a custom function for this that takes in the text and formats it how we want, but we're just kind of doing it on the fly here. So we want to call item manager add to backpack, or is that what it was? I forget what it's called. Let's take a look here. Move to backpack, and it'll be item, the item drop, and we need to pass in the player character. And that is going to be player1.us. And we might have to do something specific with this. That's just what we called in our struct. Now it wants a pointer to it, so we need to use the reference to make it a pointer to it. And the item drop is already a pointer. So once we move it to the backpack, the item is going to be managed by the backpack. That is the idea here. And then we'll have to write a little further system to call equip from the backpack. We will worry about that shortly. Let's just clean this up, get rid of all these lines that we can. And maybe we'll just write and a few comments here. Drop a random item. We'll do that at the bottom, right before we actually check. We'll mess with the order a little bit. First of all, we know they won versus the monster. They're going to gain some XP. They're going to defeat. Yeah, we can do this monsters defeated at the end here. Gain XP. Drop a random item. Update monsters and create. I'm trying to think what comment to put here. Note monsters defeated, count, and prepare the next one. And there we go. So that is pretty much everything we need to do. And maybe we'll just go ahead and fight a few real quick and make sure this item drop actually works. We basically should have a pretty high chance of getting something. So let's go ahead and run this and make sure we actually get something. Okay, let's go ahead and make us a cleric this time. And we'll move down to the monster and fight him. Attack, attack, attack. Looks like the cleric is doing 0 damage. That's kind of a problem. Let's run this again. So maybe we got a bug there with our cleric. Let's go for warrior this time. And let's attack. Okay, the warrior appears to be doing some damage. Item received, breastplate. That's the main thing we wanted to check. Okay, well, we ran into something else we're going to hotfix. The cleric was definitely not doing any damage. So let's have a look at our cleric and maybe figure out why. Cleric, why do damage. Maybe his strength is too low. This looks okay. Let's take a look at the difference between warrior. Not much difference other than higher strength. Let's take a look at our attack method. Where do we have that exactly? Do we have in the classes? No, we probably have this in the player character. Let's just see if we can find attack. There we go. Melee attack. All right, so let's look at melee attack. It must be this get total strength divided by 4. It must be 0 in some cases. Like when your strength is less than 3, this is becoming a fraction, and this is probably just rounding it to 0. So maybe we'll just do a quick if temp damage done is less than 1, then we'll just make it 1. It's going to be the minimum. That should fix that. We probably want to do the same thing with the ranged attack. There we go. Another thing we could do to fix it is we could just start it at 1, but that's going to make everybody do 1 more damage all the time. So I like this method better. Okay, let's just do that. That's fine. There's other ways you could write this. So, you know, we can do it as a ternary operator right here at the end and save some lines of code. And we're not going to worry about it. Let's continue on with what we got. Let's try the cleric again and just make sure we actually do some battle. Yeah, we're doing some damage. And we got ring 2. Okay, that's something. Very good. But now, oh, we're against a wall there. Monsters up here. As you can see, it's working. Oh, we got a potion of healing. But we need a way to actually do stuff with the items. There we go. We lost. We defeated 2 with the cleric. Not bad. Okay, so the dropping of the items does work correctly. Let's see if we can make a little system that just displays our inventory. And we can make a little hotkey to press to go to our inventory, maybe like I or something. Because right now, let's take a look. Where is that? Where our lines of code? Oh, okay, I'm in the wrong function. I need to go to our main. Somewhere in here, we have, okay, it's right here. We have all our selection type stuff. And here we go. We have move or inventory. Maybe we'll just put inventory I to let them know they have that option as well. And we'll just put another switch case in here for case I. And in this case, we'll just open the inventory. So we just need a function to do that. We'll just call open inventory. So we just need to design this little function here. And we can do it the same way. We know about the player. We probably want to pass in a player, but maybe we'll call this, okay, it's called open inventory. We have an enter fight sequence because essentially we're kind of going to different screens. Like we have, the map you walk around on. We have this fight sequence. We have an inventory. It's not very well defined how we're naming them and stuff, but we're just hacking it. So that's fine. I'm going to leave it open inventory. I was considering making it like enter inventory screen or something. So we could sort that out a little more. I'm going to fix this fight sequence to make it like our other functions with underscores at least. But for now, all we want to do is just basically show all the items in the inventory. So we'll do a clear screen at the beginning of this, and we will just display all the items. Let's start with that. But really what I want to do is I want you to be able to press hotkeys while you're in this inventory and look through it, or at least move your cursor and select through it. And maybe if you hit enter on an item, it'll use it or equip it depending on what it is. So that's quite doable. It's just going to take some working out of the system. So let's get that going here. First thing we need to do is we actually need to get the backpack inventory items. So let's just do that with auto because we have a function to do that. So we'll go main character, us, because that's the one from the library. And then we just want to do get backpack list. And that should return all the items. And then we can just do a for loop here for auto. Actually, let's make it const by reference so it's fast. Now this list of items we know is a copy, because if we go look at this, it returns backpack. But this backpack is just a list of pointers and it's const, so we can't actually do anything with it. But we're at least going to be able to look at it for now. We'll figure out how to actually do stuff with it here shortly. Basically, all we would need to do is get that item pointer and use equip. And that kind of will take care of it. We got to make sure it actually comes out of the inventory when we equip. So we might have to update the back end or the library a little bit to manage that better. Because now we're getting into a real case where we're actually using it a little more, and we want to like make sure it equips and de-equips and uses and all that correctly without leaking memory or making copies or any weird stuff like that. Because right now it's not really game tested, not battle tested yet. Well, let's just start out with displaying it, because that's at least something. We'll just call this item lowercase, and we will get data dot name. And now what we could do, yeah, we probably want to get the total number of items and make just a nice little list and have a little selector down the side, and whichever one's selected, we'll put like a X or maybe a little hash like this in front of it or something for the one you have selected. So we'll have to work that out a little bit. And it's going to get kind of complicated, but we'll see how much we can get done here. I'll just leave it like this for now for all of them. And just a new line here at the end of after every name. And that should be enough. Let's go ahead and just run this. We need a way to exit the inventory, or maybe we just press enter. So we're going to do our tried and true method of get care here. And we're basically going to say press enter to continue, which will promptly leave the function, go back to the map. But at least we can look at our items. So this will just stop it at the end, or it should, as long as we don't have a bunch of things buffered. All right, let's go ahead and make a rogue. Let's press I, nothing happens, and it leaves immediately. Now the problem with it leaving immediately is, well, there's a new line already in the buffer from where we hit enter to get into this. So we just need to do cn.ignore. And yeah, you can do more than 100. Usually people do like integer max or something, but we just want to eat that new line so that it doesn't immediately exit. Let's try this again. And also, real quick, I noticed there was an issue with drop random item where it said not all paths return something. So it thinks that it could go off this seed to the bottom here, but it actually can't. It's actually impossible because, well, the seed's 1 to 100. There's no way it's getting past this. But just for the sake of static analysis, stopping the complaints, we could do this. All right, don't make a return here. Actually, we could just leave it off entirely at this point. No need to do that final check. And just return null pointer if it's, greater than 91. I also realize this is reverse, where like lower is better, which might make some people complain, but it's in theory the same type of odds anyway. It doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of semantics and how it's worded. All right, let's take a look here. Let's make a rogue, go to inventory. There's nothing in the inventory. That's as expected. Let's just fix it up a little bit and just put something at the top here like inventory or current. And then a couple new lines, or you know what, actually, maybe let's just do this. A couple new lines there. There we go. That will at least display it. And we can clean this up a little bit by just doing that. That looks a little nicer, I think. Okay. Let's go to our inventory. See, there's nothing. All right, so let's go fight this monster and see if he drops something. He's whooping our butt right now. Dropped a potion of healing. Excellent. Let's make sure that's in our inventory by checking the inventory. And there we go. We got potion of healing. Now, this 15904, I don't know what's up with that, but basically it doesn't seem to understand this caret that we put in the stream. So let's just go back up here. Okay, it's this right here. Yeah, this should be double quotes. Who knows what that's actually doing if it's not double quotes. Make a warrior this time because he's got the most hit points and strength. Potion of healing, very good. Let's go into our inventory. And there it is. Let's see if we can defeat a couple monsters and get a few items. Helmet, very nice. Check our inventory, there's that helmet. Can we defeat one more? If we could use our potion of healing, we probably could, but no, he got us. Okay, well, we got this far. So next episode, we're going to work out how to equip these items and how to use potions. And, well, basically this is just to give you an idea of how to extrapolate all this stuff. Because, in theory, you don't have to make a battle arena. You could make this a thing where you go talk to people and they give you quests and you go do stuff and then stuff drops and all that stuff. I'm just making a battle arena because it's a kind of a nice way to get all the systems going as quickly as possible. But you can see now, at least from this example, or you should be able to see how you could very easily make a text-based RPG just based on this type of stuff and make it do as you want. So if you really want to exercise your skills, that would be the next step, is to take this library and make your own little text-based game off of it. Or it doesn't necessarily have to be text-based. If you attach some sort of rendering system to it, you could actually, move stuff around and still use these functions to manage all the behind the scenes stuff. but that would just require you to add that rendering library or design your own, and that's a whole nother ball game. But that's going to be it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.